All right, welcome to another Dakota Live with Kim Fundingsland. We're live.
All right.
This is it.
Good deal.
Yeah, this month's version of the Dakota Live. Excited for it. Want to say once again thank you to our sponsors, Shock, Safe, and Lock, for making sure that this can happen every month. If you're in need of anything to do with locks or getting safe, making sure your valuables are safe, then stop by Shock, Safe, and Lock. They'll take good care of you. We got a few interesting topics this month. We got some updates on some of the things we talked about last month, and we got some new things that are coming down the pipe that are going to be pretty interesting. So let's start off with the conversation that's heating up, and that's what's going on with Doug Burgum for president.
You got right after it, didn't you?
Right after. So
yeah, I was really surprised. There was a report that came out Friday, they come out quarterly, as I understand, and it shows Burgum is the third highest money raiser behind Trump and DeSantis.
Oh, wow, incredible.
Most of it's out of his own pocket, but
whatever works, got to get your name up there somehow.
And that has nothing to do with his gift cards. You could donate $1 and get a $20 gift card.
Paid, yeah.
So more than 20,000 of those.
Really?
Aren't even counted in there, and who knows how many he did over this past weekend. So,
wow.
The goal was to sell 40,000 of those, and
right. So
$19 a piece. But the whole idea is once you get to a certain number, which he is at, by the way, he's surpassed it.
So he's going to be on the debate stage.
He'll be on the debate stage on August 23rd, I think it is. Let me double check that. Yeah, August 23rd. So he'll be on the national debate stage. We'll see if he gets any time, because those guys really tussle about time and they get a chance to say something. So of course, the answers will be whatever doesn't matter what the question is. They give the answer they want to give. Yeah. So it'll be fun to see him up there, though. It really will be.
It will be. It'll be good recognition for North Dakota. But he spent, if he did the $20 campaign from the start, and if everybody gets one, $800,000 on that.
Say it's nothing for Doug Burgum.
Yeah. Well, how much money did he donate to his own campaign?
I think it's he put $10.2 million in so far.
That's incredible. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and so far.
Right. So, we're still in the very early stages.
Wait till next quarter. Yeah. Wait till he starts buying ads in Ohio or someplace. My goodness.
Right. Yeah. That's going to get insane fast. What do you think is going to happen with it? With him, with his running, you think he's going to get more than his little percentage of the polls, or do you think he's going to begin to climb a little bit?
Yeah, you have to have at least 1% polling. 1% of the people have to say, okay, you're legit.
Right.
To be on that debate stage too, that's the other requirement. He's past that. I don't know how much past that, but he reached that threshold. I think he's got a pretty good message. I think people will relate to him. I think people will like him.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of candidates.
There's a lot of candidates. It's way early. We went over those last month. It's crazy the amount of people that throw their hat in that ring and the amount of money that's spent on it.
And what's the guy from North Dakota doing running against the mayor of Miami? The two don't go together.
No, they don't.
It's really interesting because he's coming from a state of a few 100,000 people, and here's a guy just from a city of a few million or whatever is in that Miami-Dade area.
So, it really shows the discrepancy there because there's no mayor in North Dakota that's running for president.
No,
not one.
No. So it's obviously an uphill battle.
Right.
But he's a Midwesterner, and he's got a good message. He's got good values. I think nationally he'll be accepted, but there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, why would I waste my vote on a guy from North Dakota? That makes no sense at all.
Right. So he's got some work to do.
Yeah.
Well, let us know what you think about that. Let us know if I know we talked about that last month, but let us know if you're a fan of Burgum for president or getting the state some attention, or if you prefer him just to stay in the shadows. Got some big announcements that we're going to be dropping this live stream that are happening around here at the Dakotan. So
some secrets to tell me?
Got some secrets to tell you. Right. I'll finally let them go, and you can finally be in the know, Kim.
All right.
So one of them is we launched a store. I'm pretty excited about this.
Wasn't a real well-kept secret, by the way.
Wasn't a real, yeah. If you looked real hard on the website, you probably could find it.
I did today.
You found it today. So you go to store.mydakotan.com or go to mydakotan.com and click on store. Either way, you can go and get some merch. So people have talked about they want to support the Dakota and they want to wear whatever. So we're just trying to make it a way for them to be able to do that. We got some initial offerings, and as we get wiser, you're much more wiser than I, but as we get wiser, we can have some crazy sayings on some t-shirts, get some good things going.
You did a good job picking up merchandise here. So you got your tumblers and mugs and whatnot, and the clothing is really neat. That's a nice selection.
Get a hoodie, get a hat, get whatever it is that makes you happy. Everything's pretty affordable. You'll get it within a week or two. So make sure you stop by store.mydakotan.com or go to mydakotan.com and just click on store. But we're excited for that. Some other people are also excited for the recycling that rolled out here in Minot this week.
Oh my goodness. Changed your life a little, did it? Did you recycle?
Don't call me out like that. I don't recycle very well yet. Still working on it.
Yeah, those carts went out a few weeks ago, and Monday was, if you have a Monday, Thursday pickup, Monday was your first recycling day in the history of Minot.
Which is crazy.
And today was for Tuesday, Friday garbage pickup. It was recycling day. I did talk to Minot's recycling coordinator, and she said going pretty good. Pretty well.
It's good to hear.
Well, I'm sure they've just the first day alone, they nearly filled an entire semi with recycling materials. So how they package that compact, I don't know. But anyway,
I guess that's exciting for them.
Yeah, it was about what the city expected, but it sounds like they'll have a couple semi loads of recyclables to send to Shakopee, Minnesota.
Okay.
Probably this week or early next week. And what I want to know is when I throw one of these bottles away, do I ever see it again? Well, you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be kind of fun to know if it's in my pair of shoes or my socks or whatever, my glasses or whatever they make out of it?
It would be fun to know. I'm sure you do see it again. I bet you don't know that you see it again. And that's probably the scary part of recycling, but it is a good thing overall that we're trying to make a effort in that area. But it's also interesting, and I know this isn't necessarily on our topic list, so I'm going to throw it at you like a hot potato, but it's also interesting to see what stuff like that does with the city budget, because at the last city council meeting, there was discussion on that about the budget shortfall.
4 million, I think the number is.
Yeah. City manager is unsure how he's going to be able to cut $4 million and maintain the level of service. They got a lot of work to do.
Well, recycling carts, they do charge individuals for them. It's $2.50 a month.
Which is good.
Your water bill or whatever, utility bill. So, but you can opt out, and very few people have opted out so far, less than 10%.
That's good. So
we'll see how that goes, but nothing comes down in price ever. You got to remember that too.
Right. Yeah.
So, and with a budget shortfall, I don't know how the two go together, but you kind of wonder sometimes
what did it take to make it happen? And you wonder, again, it's kind of a hot potato I'm throwing at you, but I just don't know how you cut $4 million when you literally have to cut. I mean, that would mean that $7 million budget is what they have. They need to cut $4 million because they only have 3. They're needing to cut over double the budget. That's an incredible amount.
If you cut in Los Angeles $4 million, it's not a big deal, but in Minot, North Dakota, it's astronomical, isn't it?
It is.
So there's only 2 things city can do: raise taxes or cut. Right.
Yeah.
So what do they do?
And it's one of those things where you cut services, citizens are upset. You cut people, your staff. It's difficult to maintain the services that you have. And of course, still people are upset and families are changed because of that, but it's still difficult to maintain the level of service. It all goes hand in hand. Sure, there's probably some people that can be cut and there's some edges that can be trimmed, but when you're talking about $4 million, you're not talking about cutting one person from every department. You're talking about cutting departments.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you wonder, this is going to sound terrible, but how much were they aware that this was coming?
Right.
You know, you kind of wonder about that. And I'm not in city government, so I don't have access to all that information, but there's going to be some screaming and hollering because you have to live within your means.
Right.
But governments don't. They just never do.
They keep expanding
on any level. So
right.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will. That's an interesting topic. Let us know down in the comments. Do you think they're going to raise property taxes or not? That's a good question. Will they raise property taxes to meet the budget shortfall, or will they keep things as they are? We'll find out soon how all that plays out. But I hear that there's some interesting weather on the way.
Well, there is. It always coincides. It's with the North Dakota State Fair. It's like basketball tournaments mean blizzard time.
Right. Yep.
And the State Fair means hot weather. And sure enough, the National Weather Service today sends out a hot weather advisory.
My.
Be okay this weekend, but next week they're talking probably about Tuesday. A lot of areas in the state are going to see 100 degrees.
100 degrees.
And
that's incredible.
And there's a lot of hot weather around the whole country right now, and it's kind of in the news, and you're seeing problems. I see there was a airliner in Las Vegas, I think it was 111 degrees out, and the jetliner stuck on the tarmac for like 3 hours, and people were having heat stroke and things on the plane.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so it's something that Weather Service wants to get notices out, and that's what they're in the business of, is protecting people, whether it's a tornado warning or a heat advisory. But too much heat is not good. I mean, people that have heat stroke, that's a serious thing. It's nothing to laugh at.
Will it affect the parade at all, or should it start after that?
No, it's after that. So this weekend will be actually kind of nice. You know how nice and cool it's been. Mid 70s, maybe upper 70s, and I think they're maybe 80 or 82, 83 this weekend, and then Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be 90s, 94, 95, that kind of thing.
Well, I'll have to try to get my golfing in this weekend then. We'll try not to.
Better golf early morning, Jonathan.
Yeah, there we go. That's always good too. There was a thing I was listening to. He's some YouTuber, and he came and he golfed in North Dakota during our summer in July, and he got a cold week, and he was golfing the links. So you have the wind coming off the lake there, and it gets a little chilly. He's like, "Yeah, it's freezing in North Dakota in July." I'm like, "You came at the wrong week, because it gets hot in July in North Dakota." Yeah. And that's, even if you are from California or down south or wherever, it's still hot in North Dakota. But North Dakota State Fair coming into town.
It is. I'm going to back up just a quick minute.
Please do.
North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality, division of the Department of Health, added another lake today to advisories for blue-green algae, cyanobacteria. There's 11 lakes now on the list, and the weather's been cool. Okay. When the weather gets hot and calm, this stuff flares up in
Makes sense.
12, 24 hours. It's quick. So we have one lake in our area right now. The Harvey Dam is on there, but Lake Darling, northwest of Minot, is on there. And the lakes that are on there now they're on there quite often. Okay. So it doesn't mean there's an outbreak. It just means they're on the verge of an outbreak. Gotcha. So I've been in that before. I had that, and you get real itchy and scratchy. Pets can't drink the water, those kind of things. Okay. So, but just be aware. Yeah. When the hot weather comes out, be careful. Be careful. No, that's now you can talk about the fair, and I won't interrupt you for a minute. No, that's great. North Dakota State Fair is rolling into town. We got the parade kicking it off formally on Saturday. What's your favorite part of the state fair? My favorite part of the fair, I'm going to take it out here a little bit, but I like certain fair foods, and I'm not even going to tell you an individual fair food, because I blunder into something every once in a while. Okay. Last year I had a donut about the size of Massachusetts. There we go. We're doing something right then. Yeah. I like me a good donut. So that was pretty good, but and I do like the free stage acts. I get a kick out of frisbee dogs and those kind of things. That's pretty interesting. Now I did talk to Renee Korsling, the fair manager, today, and she said there's a number of new acts on the free stages that she was kind of all excited about. We didn't get into what they all were, but that's exciting. Cool. That's they expanded. It used to be where the Historical Society Village was on the fairgrounds. Now
Okay.
they're calling that West Park.
Okay.
They've got picnic tables, a brand new bathrooms over there, really
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
And there's some vendors over there, and there are tables you can relax and get in the shade under the umbrellas, and nice grass down there and all that kind of stuff. So they're trying to make that a big attraction on the fairgrounds, and they've got a couple of free stages over there as well. So
Okay. Very cool. You know, I have to agree with you. Really like the food at the fair, and I
are you
like
a mini donut guy?
I
or
like
what?
mini donuts. Those are
Okay.
good. I like some of the ice cream cones that you can find around there. I enjoy the wild rice burger. That's always a favorite of mine. I love me some good cheese curds. Like cheese curds.
How about the blooming onion or whatever
Okay.
they call it?
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Those are fun too. I enjoy a good blooming onion. That's every once in a while you find something else, but those are my go-tos.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I've spent way too much money, and I feel way too overloaded with food, and I just call it a day. And it's normally hot, and you're just ready to be done at that point. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the fair. Gonna walk in the parade, and then gonna go to the fair on Saturday. So that'll be an interesting day.
Good for you. You'll get your exercise.
I'll get my exercise. I'll earn that fried
You gonna
food.
carry a golf bag?
Yeah. I'll be just hitting golf balls into the crowd. So
Yeah. No, and the state fair parade's always a big event. Lots of kids there, of course. There's lots of giveaways, balloons, candies, all kinds of stuff. So
right. You going to any concerts?
I am not. I don't have a concert on my list. I'm outgrowing some of these things these
Outgrowing
days. I was
concerts.
looking at the list of entertainment, and
Yeah.
and I can't relate to some of this anymore.
Maybe
So,
it's lacking entertainment. You know.
well,
Could be.
yeah, I mean, I used to just couldn't wait for the fair when I was a few years younger to see who's coming and
Yeah.
go there. And so now I don't, Jelly Roll. A lot of people are talking about Jelly Roll. I go, really? Is that a new food stand?
Exactly right. sounds like that could be a place I'd want to stop by.
Brad Paisley's there. He's the last act of the fair, so
Interesting.
he's pretty relatable to a lot of people. So.
Going to the country.
And I think they all are actually. They don't pick these entertainers just
Right.
because they're available. They try and get good ones, and
Yeah.
I think they've done that.
A few years ago, it seems like they really tried to up their game, and since then they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, you always have a down year, I'm sure, over time, but
Historically, Jonathan, there's been some phenomenal entertainers come through that fairgrounds.
That's incredible.
Some of the names are gone now, like Kenny Rogers and Barbara Mandrell, Oakley
Yeah.
Boys, and some of those people. Huey Lewis and the News here was just an unbelievable concert.
interesting.
So they had
Yeah.
a reputation for doing that, and they've maintained it over the years.
Right.
They get somebody good all the time.
Yeah.
So Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah. Somebody will like them.
Yeah.
So North Dakota State Fair, hopefully you make it out, whether you're in Minot or anywhere from around the state. Hopefully you make it out to the fair. So we do want to give a shout out to some of the sponsors that make the Dakotan happen. We are forever thankful to them. We've already given Shock, Safe and Lock a shout out. Make sure you hit them up. We also want to shout out Grain Handling Direct, the Dakota Hope Clinic, Farmers Insurance, Latin Agency, Tim Knutson with eXp Realty, Jack's Menswear. I'm sporting a suit custom.
I was
Straight-
going to ask you about that. You
straight
were
from-
complaining about it's too warm in here. So you're wearing a suit. What do you think?
It's a personal problem that I'm going through. But yeah, go to Jack's Menswear, get yourself a custom suit. One of the only options in Minot to get that done at. So pretty excited about that. If you are interested in advertising with the Dakotan, go to dakotandigital.com. We have a form there you can fill out, and we'll reach out to you. We're actually doing something a little bit different. Okay. If you want to be on the Dakotan, we have ad spots for you. We can get you in there. But we also understand that some businesses want something more than just an ad on a website, because they want to actually get a strategy together, marketing campaign together, and begin to build that. And so if you go to dakotandigital.com, we have options that are more encompassing than that. So we'll help you with your overall marketing strategy. We'll help you with Facebook, Google Ads, SEO, building a website, the whole shebang. Just go to dakotandigital.com to learn more about that. Enough about that, though.
No, not enough. That's
Not
why
enough.
this guy is so much fun. I looked at that today. What is this digital.com thing?
Yeah,
And I thought, wow, you've been busy.
Yeah, we've been busy.
It's impressive.
that was the second announcement for the show today, is the Dakota Digital. I think it's good because I think that small businesses need attention. They go and they put a lot of work into and effort into making sure that their business runs. And so they need to make sure that when they're spending money that it is actually going somewhere productive. And that's simply what we want here, is to make sure that it's worth what they're spending.
Well, you're the guy to make it happen. That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Congrats.
So last month we talked about Minot crime, and our focus was on how we had a lot of murders happening, or not murders, but a lot of shootings and killings happening in Minot. And
we had a dozen.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Either in jail or
processing,
looking for them or something like that. So
right. And so we were just kind of wanting to go and update on that a little bit, see where we're at.
I'm going to open that up with one that people might have even forgotten about a little bit, but it was July 7th. There was a shooting at an apartment in Northwest Minot.
Okay, right. I remember that.
And the first report was one gunshot, minor wound.
Not a big deal.
Female who knows who did this.
Okay.
Is treated at Trinity Hospital for the minor gunshot wound. And then a few hours later, the police come out with a second report and said, no, it wasn't one. It was 20 gunshots.
Well, that multiplied.
So there was some kind of gunfight. I know of no gun that holds 20 rounds.
Me either.
So anyway, there's no arrests have been made.
Okay.
So
Arresting.
No one has been picked up.
20 gunshots and no arrest.
And no. So the police are working on it, obviously, and they'll come up with something, but it's been a couple of weeks now, right? A little over a week. So it's different. Plus, you've got somebody who apparently knows who this is. So are they talking, not talking?
Right.
I can't tell you. And there was, this one might have missed some people too, but Josh Fortune was sentenced up in Rolette to 5 years in prison.
Okay.
This is the guy in, let's see, 2021, April of 2021, ran over and killed a girl on a highway up near Dunseith.
That's sad.
And he was jailed for a time when they picked him up, and then he was released on some release agreement and didn't appear again in court. He's gone. So, but he got stopped in a traffic stop down near Max. And guess what? A week later, you're heading to the pen for 5 years.
Wow.
So, ouch. And so I guess justice is served, but it's a sad deal. But anyway, that happened. And we have a real interesting one coming up. This is a Shawnee Crawl. Or Crawl, I'm sorry. Now this crime happened in December of 2020. The police were investigating a sexual assault, blah, blah, blah. And they found a body in the trunk of a vehicle.
Okay.
And
Yes.
so they
I heard about this.
Arrest the guy. It's a woman that's dead.
Mm-hmm.
They go arrest the guy, and turns out they didn't have the proper permission to search that trunk. Right. They didn't have the proper warrant. So the judge threw that evidence out. So there's no body. Didn't happen. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's appealed to the North Dakota Supreme Court. North Dakota Supreme Court says the judge is correct. You can't use that evidence. So that person's still in jail on a $2 million bond. And there's a, make a court appearance this week. One of the charges are going to be dropped.
Okay.
Both charges are AA felonies. So they're lifetime sentences. But it's pretty intriguing. The file is getting real thick. So.
Right. Well, it's one of those deals where it's just difficult with the justice system. I'm not saying the justice system is wrong, but it's just difficult. You know what's happened, and there's protocol that has to be followed, even though there's someone that's dead.
The prosecutors think they know what happened, but they may not have the evidence to prove it now.
Yeah.
And it's correct that everybody needs to be defended.
Yep, I agree.
So the evidence, if it's acquired by illegal means,
you got to follow the process.
That's the way it goes. So we will see what happens there. I'm not sure what's left to present in court, but we're gonna find out. We've got 2 in jail right now that are already convicted of murder, waiting for sentencing. And I thought
Okay.
this date would be set. The judge wanted to get it done, but the date has not been set yet. And that's Matthew Anderson and Regina Goodale,
Oh, yes.
still sitting in the Ward County Jail,
This was just
convicted
finishing up.
of murder.
Yeah.
You know, the jury said, no, you did it.
They didn't stay very long on that one.
No, they were just out long enough to have their lunch, and that was it. It was just a couple of hours, and they returned that verdict. So
Interesting.
a little too much activity in Minot.
We do. Into the state, just this past weekend, we saw on the news in the Fargo area what happened there. And so I'm just going to read what the governor, he made a statement today. So if you'd allow, just going to read that. His office had a release, and it says Governor Doug Burgum has directed all government agencies across the state to fly the United States and North Dakota flags at half-staff and encourages North Dakotans to do the same at their homes and businesses starting immediately today through sunset, Saturday, July 22nd, in honor of Fargo police officer Jake Wallen, 23, who died in the line of duty in a shooting incident that also seriously injured 2 fellow officers and a civilian. Wallen also served in the Minnesota Army National Guard. Funeral services are scheduled for 10:30 a.m. Saturday at Pico Lake, Minnesota High School. And Burgum had this to say: Officer Jake Wallen dedicated his life to serving his country and protecting his community and fellow citizens from danger. We owe him a debt of gratitude that can never be repaid, and we lower the flags as a mark of our deepest respect for his courageous service and ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Do remember his family in that city, the city of Fargo, in prayer this week. That's just a terrible thing to have to go through. A couple of years.
I think
with that.
he wasn't on the force very long. I think
he was young,
just a few months. But,
yep.
They always say the first reports are wrong, but now we're hearing that there was a car accident of some sort they responded to. That's why the policemen were on the scene.
Gotcha.
And Wallen is still with his training officer, so he's not even a real officer yet, so to speak. So, but it sounds like, Jonathan, somebody that wasn't involved in this accident at all.
Wow.
Opens their trunk and pulls out a rifle. There's a little guesswork here, but he had the trunk up.
Right.
And starts shooting.
Wow.
It was just like, well, there they are. I better shoot at them.
Right. That's sad.
Yeah. So they didn't have it. They didn't see the guy shoot. They didn't have a chance.
Suspected.
The training officer is the one who shot the perpetrator of this whole thing. So, but it just, you can see in a traffic stop or a car accident, somebody gets out there mad. They had a fight with their wife. They got drunk. They had too much drug, whatever, and they get goofy like that. But this was somebody just off on the side.
Yeah.
That said, hey,
spectator,
this would be cool. And I really?
Yeah. It's not the respect that they deserve. They put themselves in a lot of harm's way for protecting us, no matter where we stand in life. So
this guy was shooting at firemen that responded to the accident scene as well.
Wow. So, that's wrong.
I don't have all the details on this, but you hear all these bits and pieces, and it's just not cut and dried. This is strange, and now the guy who killed the officer is dead, so they're not going to hear his story. But some of the neighbors of the apartment building are talking a little bit. There's always this guy's a little strange kind of thing. So
it's
just
sad story.
It's just awful, just absolutely awful.
It is. So, well, again, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. We already did that, but we again want you to be sure to let stop by Shock Safe and Lock, give Dakota Hope Clinic a call, Jack's Menswear, Farmers Insurance, Killen Lattinger's Agency, Tim Knudsen with eXp Realty, and Dakota Digital, yeah. So Dakota Digital, if you have anything,
threads,
my new threads, Jack's Menswear, you gotta like it.
Pretty sharp, by the way.
Yeah,
jealous.
Appreciate it. Yeah, well, yeah. We'll see if we ever get you in a suit coat.
Say, there's a big fishing tournament Friday, Saturday.
Really?
North Dakota's biggest.
Really?
The Governor's Cup.
You going?
I am going to go down there Friday, unless something interferes. But there's 162 teams.
Wow.
It's a really, really big event. And,
how many years have you won it?
I've only entered it one time.
Oh, you entered it once,
Didn't
huh?
win.
That would have been a good try if you
No,
were one of one.
I could tell you that whole story one day, but
Yeah.
yeah. No. Anyway, that's a big outdoor event in North Dakota, so happens to coincide with the opening weekend of the fair as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Such as life. Yeah, I think one day we just need to jump on here and have fishing stories with Kim. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones.
Might have everybody say that guy's full of baloney. But
Yeah.
Someday we could share that. We really could.
That'd be a good time.
You agree to talk about golf?
All right, we can talk about golf. Those stories are not as interesting as your fishing stories, I guarantee. One shout out to our sponsor, Dakota Hope. At Dakota Hope, we believe every pregnant woman deserves love and support, no matter what her circumstances. So if you or someone you know has an unintended or otherwise stressful pregnancy, come see the nurses at Dakota Hope for free information and support. You can go to dakotahope.org for more information. One of the final topics,
Okay.
Age limits for senators. This is a press release that we just got sent in last week that someone is working on to establish in North Dakota. Of course, this comes on the heels of term limits for North Dakota being established and put into law, which limits the amount of terms that a senator is able to serve. And now they're also wanting to cap the age that a senator is able to serve to. They liken that to a couple people in Washington, D.C. that the public or some people question whether or not they have the ability to continue to lead, which would include California's Dianne Feinstein and even President Joe Biden. That comes straight from the press release that age limits went and sent out. What is this going to go anywhere?
Congress, so it isn't.
It doesn't want to affect president, and it's not going to affect California at all because this is purely for North Dakota.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on it? Is this something that we need to be following? Is this something that's going to fade into the background?
I have thought about this one a little bit, and what they're trying to do is get the wording down so they can get that approved, so they can go gather signatures.
Okay.
And I forget how many thousands of signatures to get it on a ballot for an initiated measure. And then you and I and everybody else goes and votes and say, yeah, okay, or no, we don't want that. But it's if you're 80 years old, you can't be a senator from North Dakota or a representative from North Dakota. And they're not talking about state reps now. They're talking just federal or national.
Okay.
That's the way I understood it.
Okay.
So maybe I'm wrong on that. So I better be careful there. But it's 80 years, and you and I both know 80-year-olds that are pretty sharp, right?
Right. Yeah.
We know a lot of 66-year-olds that aren't. So, right. But age, at a certain point, age becomes, it's not a number, it's a condition, right?
Yeah.
So either you got it or you don't. And, and this one will say, well, we don't even care if you got it or you don't. That's enough. And I'm not so sure it's a bad idea. I don't know if it needs to be a law. I think people can vote, but
yeah. At some point, your vote has to matter. Jared Hendricks said in the release,
the chairman of this. Yeah.
Okay. We will limit the age at 80. Even limiting the age at 80 is far above the retirement age in the military and many private corporations. The average age of retirement in America is 64. Everybody else retires. I don't see why politicians should be different. You can't run for Senate until you're 30 or Congress until you're 25. So we already have age limits on the lower end, just not the upper end. So he's trying to get that dialed in a little bit. Something interesting. Let's see if I can find this real fast. All right. So just going over all the declared candidates, okay, for the presidential race. I'm tying this into the age limits. Let's go over their ages. Joe Biden, 80. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., age 69. Marianne Williamson, age 71. Doug Burgum, 66. Christie, 60. DeSantis, 44. Larry Elder, 71. Nikki Haley, 51. Will Hurd, 45. Asa Hutchinson, 72. Perry Johnson, 75. Mike Pence, 64. Vivek Ramaswamy. There we go. You say it way better than I do. Age 37. Tim Scott, 57. Francis Suarez, 45. Donald Trump, 77. So there would be one candidate that wouldn't be able to run at all. And there are 2 candidates that wouldn't be able to run for a second term on the presidential stage, which obviously this would not affect that at all, but just trying to give an idea of how old people are when they're running for major offices.
Yeah, I think people will sign that petition in a heartbeat, but I don't know what voters will do with it either.
I was surprised though how many people voted for term limits.
That surprised me a little bit too.
Because that was pretty landslide.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me about term limits more than this, because in some ways I can see it, in some ways I cannot see it. I still understand vote counts, but term limits, especially your vote counts, like people are voting to have them in for another term. We're not talking about any other limit, just you can only serve for X amount of years.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me that it was a landslide, and yet somebody that had, Hovind gets reelected that same year, I think, and he's been in government since I don't know when, forever in North Dakota. Nobody's concerned about his term limits, but now they are, I guess.
Yeah. No, and it all comes down to, Jonathan, is know what you're voting about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't have to worry about term limits. If you don't like somebody, don't vote for them, right?
Right.
But people just sometimes, we always vote for that guy. We got to keep voting for him, and my grandkids are going to vote for him. And at some point, you just got to say, hey, this voting is serious business.
Right.
We got to take a look at that. I don't need term limits to tell me I want somebody or don't want somebody. I don't need 80 years of age or 70 or 60. People can see, but you got to vote the way you should vote, not the way your party leans and all these other things.
That's a very key part. Wanda Nelson says 80 is too old. She thinks it should be 70. So that's great feedback there, Wanda. It'll be interesting to see how it all breaks down.
I was surprised at that 80 number as well. The first thing I thought is, why 80? Why not 70?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Gotcha.
Because you got to think of most people. I don't know about most people, but there's a large 25 to 54 age group of people in this country. And they're thinking, I don't want that 78-year-old fuddy-duddy running my show.
Yeah.
And that's okay to think that way, So, so I was surprised it was 80. I thought maybe 70 or 68 or 72 or something.
If you go 70, you start getting, like 5 or 6 presidential candidates this year suddenly wouldn't be able to run if it's on the federal stage. So you start affecting a lot more people that can't run.
Let's just Tom Brady. He goes on forever.
Yeah, he never gets old. And Corey Long is bringing us back to our previous conversation. He's all about that Governor's Cup. So what a way to end Governor's Cup this weekend. Yeah,
they go. If it's 3 or 4 flights of boats go out Friday morning.
Okay.
And they weigh in at the Garrison City Park, and it's a big picnic. It's a big party. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
Park is nice and shady, and they'll want that this weekend, I think. So, it's a big event, and it's a huge parking area at Fort Stevenson State Park around the marina there.
Yeah.
And they fill that up. They're parking along the roadway. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Does the governor show up?
What's that?
Governor shows up, I assume?
That's really interesting that you asked that. And I'm going to, before I get out of place here, I'm going to say it. If you're going to fish at Fort Stevenson this weekend, the seas will part, by the way. Don't be intimidated by all these boats around because they're going to let Joe Blow and his family go fishing.
Okay.
They're going to hold up the tournament. They'll move everybody out of the way. They'll launch your boat for you. They'll park your vehicle, and away you go. So you're not going to be held up for an hour and a half in a line somewhere. So now the other question was?
Governor going to be there.
The governor. So I've asked that question several times to the Governor's Cup committee over the years. Has the governor ever been at the Governor's Cup?
Yeah.
And a couple of the real old guys in the committee, they're probably 80 plus now. But they said, Governor George Sinner showed up one year.
Oh, wow.
I don't even remember how many years ago that was.
Yeah.
Well, they said he was at some family reunion or picnic or something in the area and ran over there to see what the Governor's Cup's about since he's the governor.
Wow.
So he was there. But the Governor's Cup itself is the governors from every state in the union can send a team there.
Okay.
That was the original concept, I believe, of the Governor's Cup part of it.
Yeah.
And there's also contestants,
Right.
participants from all over the state and several states actually, if they want to be. But now the Governor's Cup themselves is usually people might live in Stanton, and one guy lives in Bismarck, and they're originally from Tennessee. So they're representing the state of Tennessee. So, and sometimes a state will actually send a team, but it isn't a true Governor's Cup.
All right.
In that sense, but it's a neat name, right?
It is.
Sounds pretty impressive.
Sounds very impressive. George Center pulled up his bio. He was 29th governor of North Dakota from 85 to 1992. So
there you go.
That was a couple of years ago. Maybe Burgum can make his way there and get a couple $1 donations while he's there.
Guy would show up.
Yeah.
Somebody said, "Hey, this tournament named after you is this weekend."
He'll be there.
He'll probably show up.
He'll be on his way to the parade, so why not?
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be there.
There you go.
Very good. Corey, you asked, will this be a weekly cast? Right now, we're doing it once a month. We're aiming for that second or third Tuesday of the month. But if people are interested in it, we'll do it more often. Get Kim on here. Just let him talk. Maybe let him tell those fishing stories. We could find time for that. It's always an interesting listen with Kim. But thank you for asking that, Corey. But we're coming to the end of this. Any final notes that you have for this month?
For those listeners we have, we're always interested in, what do you know?
Right.
What do you want us to check on for you?
Yes.
That's big stuff.
Right.
So don't be afraid to do that. Drop us an email, a phone call, whatever it is, let us know.
Right. If you do have a story, idea, suggestion, if you want to start your own podcast, if you want to do anything with the Dakotan, feel free to email us at info@mydakotan.com. Go to Facebook, drop us a message there. You can even give us a phone call if you can find our phone number online somewhere.
Yeah.
So
those are a thing of the past. The phone books are getting more slender every year.
That's right. So, but we do want to hear from you. We want to hear your story ideas. We want to be as connected with you as possible. So, if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. So I think
I'm good for right now. So it's been fun though. This is a good time.
It's been good. This is another edition of the Dakotan Live with Kim Fundingsland. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for asking questions, for making comments. We appreciate it. We look forward to having another good month, a good state fair, and we will connect with you again